Bullies tear into quiet girl's blazer. She flips them across the hall with a judo throw. When the richest kid in school slashed her uniform, no one expected the scholarship girl to fight back. In the marble-clad library of Westmont Academy, Connor Walsh yanked Mia Rodriguez's blazer until it tore down the back, exposing her to roaring laughter and recording phones. But before his crew could revel in her humiliation, Mia's years of judo training kicked in. She twisted his wrist, planted her foot, and hurled him shoulder first across the room, jaws dropping and shelves shaking. What started as a cruel prank has ignited a campus rebellion, exposing decades of privilege and silence. How far will they go to silence her now? If you've ever been judged before, proven guilty, hit that like button now. Subscribe and ring the bell to join Mia's fight against unchecked privilege and share your own story of standing up when everyone counted you out. Comment below whose silence needs breaking today. You're about to witness how one throw changed a campus and ignited a movement no one saw coming. I'm Mia Rodriguez, a junior at Westmont Academy, a school where marble halls gleam under crystal chandeliers and front lawns look more like golf course fairways. I arrived here 6 weeks ago on a full STEM scholarship carrying a faded backpack and a secondhand blazer that smelled of mothballs. My parents scrimped every paycheck so I could have this chance, but every morning I step through these wrought iron gates feeling like an imposter in a world built on privilege. By 7:30 a.m., the quad fills with Teslas and BMWs disgorging perfectly pressed uniforms and polished loafers. I slip in behind a line of lacquered shoes, head down heart, thudding like a drum in my chest. My tiebreaker. Good grades in judo, throws no yacht, no country club membership, no legacy admissions. Connor Walsh owns this place. At 6'2" and broad-shouldered, he patrols the science wing like a king surveying his kingdom. His grin is the same one scraped onto my cheeks when he cornered me in the hallway, amused, predatory, certain I'll shrink away. He's captain of the football team, a straight A student, and the heir to Walsh Properties, a real estate empire that built more than half the condos around Hartford. No one dares cross him. I learned early to avoid his path. I duck through side corridors, memorize bell schedules, and speed walk past his clique. Aisha Thompson, the girls' basketball captain, tries to stick up for me, her phone always at the ready fingers, twitching over the record button. And Ethan Kim, editor of the student newspaper, lurks around corners, with his camera rig gathering evidence like a hawk zeroing in on prey. But despite their vigilance, I stay invisible, until visibility becomes my only weapon. In biology class, the sink faucets still drip from last night's lab, and the smell of formaldehyde lingers in the back row. I clutch my microscope slide, praying I won't be called to present. Across the aisle, Connor leans back, arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips. The fluorescent lights overhead hum, and I feel every eye flick to us, the unspoken question hanging in the stale air. Will she flinch after class? The marble halls echo with tappy-tap Snapchat notifications. A group of seniors clusters by the lockers' phones raised. I pass by like a shadow until I reach the science wing, where the tile floor gives way to a maze of lockers and microscopes. That's where they strike Marcus Chen and Brad Torres, flank Connor, all three blocking the corridor like boulders. Their laughter ricochets off the tiled walls. Running late to physics scholarship girl. Connor drawls, eyes narrowing. His voice drones under the fluorescent buzz, but it cuts through me like a knife. Marcus cracks his knuckles. Brad's cufflinks gleam. I swallow. My scholarship depends on a spotless record, academic and behavioral. If I fight back, I lose everything. I flash over my shoulder at Aisha's empty spot by the bleachers and Ethan's promised handshake behind the bleachers. They can't be everywhere. I force my shoulders back and speak through gritted teeth. Excuse me? They block each step, grin widening. Maybe you can fish a new blazer out of the donation bin. Brad sneers. Connor leans in, breath hot on my ear. Or maybe go back where you came from. The words land like bricks. My throat constricts. My fingers curl into my blazer's lapel fabric, soft and worn beneath my fist. I think about my mother, her worn scrubs, her nightly shifts at St. Augustine's Hospital, the way she always said I belonged here just as much as anyone. I think about my judo sensei at the YMCA, whose weather-worn dojo smelled of musty mats and determination. He taught me that strength isn't about size, it's about center of gravity, leverage, and timing. I take a breath, feel the cold edge of steel in my spine. I am not invisible. I am not powerless. Today I will step into the light. Today I will fight back. Because at Westmont Academy, when you silence the privileged, you shatter the foundation of their world. And I'm ready to watch it crack. Every morning after that first hallway showdown, I felt my chest tighten long before I even saw Connor's silhouette at the end of the corridor. By 6:15, the science wing was a gauntlet of polished tile and trembling nerves. Marcus Chin and Brad Torres would be waiting behind the fume hood smartphones raised, ready to capture my smallest misstep. It started with whispered rumors in the locker room snatches of conversation about that scholarship girl who thought she could waltz into Westmont without consequences. Some mornings, I'd find a sticky note tucked beneath my textbooks. Go home. Trash doesn't belong here, scrawled in black Sharpie. My fingers would curl around the edge of the note until the paper crumpled, but I refused to let the pain show. In chemistry class, I heard the soft thwop of spitballs landing on my desk. Each time I looked up, Connor would be grinning over at Brad, who pretended to be an innocent bystander until his phone screen winked with the flash of a hidden camera. Even the teacher couldn't look at me without that flicker of annoyance in her eyes, as if I was the distraction, not the bully. By lunchtime, the crowds had gathered screens in hand. The Westmont Confessions Instagram page had already published photos of me in my tattered blazer, stitched together into a meme mocking my scholarship status. The comments were venomous. Go wash that thing. Go back to where you came from. Scholarship leech. My throat pinched at each notification, but I stuffed my lunch away in my locker and paced the courtyard, counting my breaths until my heart stopped trying to burst out of my ribcage. Then there was the biology lab. I'd taken extra care to wear my safest shirt that day, the one with no loose threads. But no matter how I sat, I could feel Marcus's gaze boring into my shoulder blades. Late that afternoon, as I leaned over a microscope slide, I felt a sharp tug at my ponytail. I spun around to find Brad smirking, yanking the elastic band until it snapped. My hair sprang free like a broken trap, and the class erupted in laughter. The teacher shushed them, but no one reprimanded him. It was Aisha who saved my dignity that day. She strode up beside me, thrust out her phone like a shield, and murmured, "Recorded the whole thing? He won't get away with that." Her steady brown eyes met mine, and for the first time I felt less like prey and more like a partner in a fight I'd never asked for, but now needed to win. Meanwhile, Ethan Kim transformed the yearbook office into a nerve center. He'd rigged his camera to stream every hallway camera feed he could access through a loophole in the school's online portal and cross-referenced it with student testimonies. He messaged me each evening. "I have footage of Marcus throwing your bag down the stairs. Brad's phone just posted a story mocking you, screenshot attached." Every piece of evidence piled up like shrapnel in my inbox. Yet, my scholarship still hung by a thread. Principal Garrison sent me a curt email after Mrs. Brennan overheard unacceptable language in class. I was ordered to meet before school. My stomach churned as I sat in that lavish office watching the sun glint off mahogany paneling. He leaned forward, fingers steepled. "Mia reports say you've been instigating conflict. I want to remind you that Westmont has high standards. I expect you to comport yourself appropriately." His tone was polite, but his words felt like a guillotine lowering on my future. Every step through those marble halls became a negotiation with fear. I memorized the schedules of every teacher who'd support me, Ms. Ruiz, and Spanish coach Lindstrom in judo, and planned my route through their wings to avoid the worst of the crowd. But the harassment only escalated. One afternoon, as I waited for Aisha by the bleachers, I spotted a piece of paper pinned to the back of my locker. A list of rumors and lies about me. Some cruel, some dangerous, intended to ruin my reputation. That evening, I cried for the first time in front of my mother via FaceTime. She brushed away tears of her own, recalling how her night shifts at St. Augustine's kept me fed and clothed. "You're stronger than this," she said, voice trembling but firm. "You belong here." I closed my eyes and memorized her face, drawing from her courage when mine failed. The final straw came in the library at 6:00 p.m. I arrived early to finish homework, only to find Connor lounging at my usual table, rolling his shoulders like he owned the place. When I asked if he could move, he leaned back and flashed that predatory grin. "Make me," he said softly. Marcus and Brad appeared behind him, phones raised. Each click of their cameras echoed like a whip crack. My pulse hammered. All the sticky notes, the spitballs, the snide comments, the emails, threatening disciplinary action, it all converged in that second. I remembered Aisha's phone at my shoulder, Ethan's files on his laptop, my mother's unwavering belief in me. I clenched my fists at my sides. My judo training taught me to use an opponent's strength against them, his weight, his arrogance. I took a deliberate step backward, feeling the smooth tile beneath my feet, the hush of entering students fading away. Connor rose, expecting fear. Instead, I dropped my weight, positioned my foot behind his, and grasped his wrist. Time slowed as I rotated my hips and pulled him forward. His center of gravity betrayed him, and he flew over my shoulder, landing with a thunderous crash that rattled the shelves. Silence shattered into gasps and exclamations. Phones fell from hands and clattered against tables. Marcus's jaw dropped. Brad's smugness vaporized. Librarian Mrs. Patterson froze mid-step hand, hovering over the phone to call security. I realized in that instant I was no longer the prey. I had crossed the line from invisible to unmissable. But as I straightened my blazer still intact for now, I knew this was not the end. It was the beginning of a new battle, one where the evidence Aisha and Ethan had collected would force our school to choose between privilege and justice. And whatever happened next, I would stand ready. Because in that moment, I discovered strength I never knew I had, and I wasn't about to let it go to waste. Now that the library throw had everyone's attention, Mia knew brute strength alone wouldn't finish the job. She needed a plan that combined every scrap of evidence Aisha and Ethan had gathered and turned Westmont's own weapons against it. She started by locking eyes with Aisha in the aftermath of the chaos. "We can't let this die in the principal's office," Mia said. Aisha nodded, voice low but fierce. "We'll go public hard." Step 1, consolidate the intel. That evening, Mia, Aisha, and Ethan huddled in Ethan's makeshift newsroom, the cramped yearbook office crammed with cables and blinking hard drives. Ethan projected a spreadsheet on the wall rows of dates, times, locations, and screenshots, Marcus shoving Mia's books. Brad's TikTok mocking her blazer. Connor's whispered threats in the nurse's office. Every video clip had a timestamp. Every message a name. Mia traced her finger down the list, heart pounding. "This is our dossier," she said. Step 2, build the coalition. They created a private Slack channel, Westmont Uprising, and invited Sarah, Maya, Christina, and other girls who'd suffered in silence. Each newcomer posted their nightmare and acid spill in chemistry, and equipment closet panic rumors of bribery for grades. As the channel crackled with confessions, Mia watched the shame and fear transform into resolve. They all agreed public exposure. First, formal Title IX. Second. Step 3. Launch the decoy social campaign. Ethan coded a simple bot to flood the school's Instagram DMs and story polls with one message: Westmont Uprising demand justice for Mia Rodriguez. At midnight, the bot went live, tagging Tal Westmont Academy in hundreds of messages. At 7 a.m. the next day, students opened their phones to find trending polls. "Do you believe our school protects abusers?" and story stickers railing against privilege. The hashtag lit up across feeds. Step 4. Leak the library footage. Meanwhile, Aisha and Ethan cut the raw library clip down to a 45-second highlight. Connor's smirk, the rip of Mia's blazer, the pivot of her hips, and his skull-rattling crash to the floor. They doctored in white-on-black intertitles. Day 1, he tore my dignity. Day 2, I tore down his power. At 8:15 a.m., Ethan streamed it live on Instagram and TikTok, tagging every local news outlet and the school's official page. Phones pinged in backpacks. Teachers gasped in hallways. Step 5. Organize the sit-in. By 10 a.m., the quad had swollen into a sea of students wearing red wristbands that read, "I stand with Mia." At the central fountain, Mia stepped onto the marble edge, holding the mic from the student council. She didn't shout. Her voice carried calm fury. For years, we've whispered in hallways and cowardly submitted to privilege. Today, we stand together. Cheers rose, echoing off the college-style columns. Step 6. Trigger the formal complaint. As chants of Title IX. Now reverberated, Aisha and Ethan slipped into the Title IX coordinator's office with printed evidence packets, full transcripts, and a USB drive containing every video. They watched through the glass as the coordinator's face went pale. With a nod, the coordinator led them inside and began drafting the formal complaint that would lock the administration into investigation. Step 7. Pinpoint the power brokers. Mia knew Connor's parents were dangling millions over Westmont's board. She drafted an open letter to the Board of Trustees, signed by over 300 students and alumni demanding impartiality, accountability, and the removal of any administrator who'd shielded abusers. The letter landed in inboxes at noon, with red receipts from major donors. Step 8. Prepare for the backlash. They anticipated retaliation. Fake news memes, threat smear campaigns. So Mia and her team posted a truth vault on a secure server, guaranteeing that any tampering of evidence would be instantly traceable. They leaked a copy to the local paper, ensuring multiple public archives. Building the tension. Every move ratcheted up pressure. By 2 p.m., the school website was swamped. The board was in emergency session, and parents flooded the main office. News vans arrived, lights flashing in the quad, and Mia felt her pulse spike. This was bigger than a high school prank. Moral justification. Mia looked at Aisha and Ethan. "We didn't start this," she said. "We finished it." Her voice was steady, defiant. No army of donors could erase the truth once it was illuminated, and no bully could survive in the glare of collective outrage. In less than 6 hours, a campus culture built on silence and privilege had been shattered. And the final move was yet to come: Mia's public address at the board meeting that evening, where she would demand justice not only for herself, but for every student whose voice had been silenced. This was no longer about revenge. It was about rewriting the rules of Westmont Academy forever. Mia slipped through the quad at dawn, a pack of red wristbands clutched in her hand like armor. At precisely 7:00 a.m., she and Aisha stood at the base of the marble steps, while Ethan's phone live-streamed to hundreds of followers. "We're here. This is Westmont Uprising." One by one, students filed past and took a wristband, their faces a mixture of fear and resolve. Within 10 minutes, the Fountain Plaza rippled with scarlet against the sea of gray uniforms. Teachers peeked from classroom windows. Administrators hovered at the edges, cell phones buzzing with alerts. Mia stepped onto the lowest step, cleared her throat, and looked out at the crowd. Today, she said, voice steady, despite the butterflies in her stomach, "We demand justice for every student Connor Walsh and his cronies have terrorized." A cheer rose, echoing under the Gothic arches. At that moment, Aisha and Ethan slipped into Title IX coordinator Dr. Patel's office. With respectful nods, they laid out their evidence packets, high-resolution clips of library judo screenshots of hateful DMs, logs from the school portal showing unauthorized threats. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as she scrolled through every timestamp, every file name irrefutable. She picked up her phone. "I'm calling an emergency hearing. Now." Back in the plaza, Mia paced, heart pounding. Marcus and Brad appeared at the fountain's edge, desperate to splinter the protest. But as Marcus raised his voice, a chorus of 500 students drowned him out with chants of "Title IX." Now the jarring cacophony rolled through the quad, like a wave breaking granite. At 9:30 a.m., the live stream cut to a banner reading Board of Trustees Emergency Session, draped across the auditorium doors. Mia, Aisha, and Ethan slipped inside the hall, where late arriving parents and local reporters crowded the aisles. Flashbulbs popped as Mrs. Walsh and Mr. Walsh, flanked by lawyers, took their seats at the front row. The first witness was Aisha, who calmly recapped the library assault, how Connor yanked Mia's blazer, then tumbled across the floor. Next, Ethan played the 45-second highlight reel. First Connor's smirk, then the rip of fabric, then the throw itself over and over, each loop imprinting the truth on every viewer's mind. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the trustees. A few parents clutched their pearls or slumped forward in shock. Then Mia stood. She took the podium with the poise of someone who'd rehearsed under bathroom mirrors for weeks. "Privilege isn't proof of character," she said, voice clear. "It's a mask. And when you wear it, you think you can tear others down without consequence." She paused, letting the silence stretch. "But today, you'll see what happens when we refuse to be silent." Her final blow was the open letter, an envelope handed to each trustee that morning, now displayed on the big screen. Signed by over 300 students, alumni, and even a handful of faculty, it demanded Connor's expulsion. The resignation of any administrator who tamped down complaints, and the establishment of a permanent anti-harassment advisory board. By the time she sat down, the room had shifted. Where once sat a panel reluctant to challenge big donors, now eyes glistened with tears or narrowed in righteous anger. A murmur rose. Title Nom investigation. Independent oversight. Zero tolerance policy. At 11:00 a.m., the board chair tapped her gavel. "We will comply," she announced. Connor Walsh, Marcus Chin, and Brad Torres are hereby suspended pending full investigation. We will convene an external title review within 7 days. Furthermore, we pledge to implement student-led oversight to ensure this never happens again. The hall erupted, some in cheers, others in stunned applause. Cameras flashed. Mia felt her knees go weak, but gripped the podium until Aisha and Ethan flanked her in solidarity. Outside, the live stream cracked past 10,000 viewers as the news spread beyond campus. As trustees filed out under escort parents, and students surrounded Mia with hugs and tears. Mrs. Thompson pressed her forehead against Mia's, whispering, "You did it." Ethan's camera captured the moment the girl who arrived 6 weeks ago with a mothball-scented blazer, now standing at the epicenter of change. By noon, the hashtag #JarkWestmont Uprising had trended on TikTok and Twitter. Local news vans lined the driveway, and the campus felt irrevocably transformed. The final sting for Connor would come later, in expulsion civil suits, and a scandal that would stain his family's name for years. But in that moment, Mia understood true revenge wasn't destruction of her enemies. It was reclaiming her voice, her dignity, and sparking a revolution of accountability that no amount of privilege could silence. The auditorium doors swung open to a roar of approval as the trustees' decision was announced. Students surged forward, triumph lighting every face. Connor's mother dissolved into tears of disbelief. His lawyers traded frantic whispers. Marcus and Brad slunk away, their swagger replaced by shame. Even Principal Garrison, who had warned Mia about maintaining standards, stood to applaud, tears glinting under the stage lights. Outside, journalists flocked to the marble steps. Reporters shouted questions. Mia, what made you stand up? Will Westmont change forever? Every answer Mia gave was met with cheers and the flash of cameras. Teachers stepped out into the quad, some hugging former victims, others wiping away proud, relieved smiles. In the crowd, Aisha's grin stretched from ear to ear as she replayed the highlight reel one last time on her phone. Ethan uploaded his full documentary footage, already racking up thousands of views. Nearby, Sarah and Maya passed out red wristbands to incoming students, a symbol that we stand together would outlast this scandal. By late afternoon, Westmont Uprising had trended nationwide. Alumni Facebook groups buzzed with posts, "I remember being bullied here." Finally, someone did something. Local news segments aired clips of Mia's judo throw, sparking conversations about power privilege and the courage to fight back. Back in the library where it all began, Mrs. Patterson carefully replaced the shredded blazer on a display board labeled Artifacts of Change. Her trembling hands smoothed the torn fabric before fastening it with pride. That evening, Mia returned to her dorm room to find a stack of letters, handwritten heartfelt from students across the country. One freshman from California wrote, "Your stand gave me the courage to report my own harasser." A senior from Texas confessed, "I wish I'd had the strength you showed." As night fell over Westmont Academy, the quad was empty, save for the fountain rimmed with red wristbands and the hum of distant news vans. Mia stood alone under the Gothic arches, inhaling the cool air. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling the steady beat of her heart. In that moment, she knew the justice she won was more than personal vindication. It was a victory for every voice, once silenced a promise that privilege would no longer go unchecked. Justice won't happen on its own. It takes someone willing to stand when everyone else turns away. Mia Rodriguez refused to be invisible, and her courage cracked the foundation of privilege at Westmont Academy. Now, the hallways echo with a new promise. Silence no longer protects abusers, and unity leaves bullies nowhere to hide. If Mia's story moved, you share this video right now to remind your own community that standing up matters. Hit subscribe and ring the bell. We'll be back with more real-life tales of ordinary people who dared to demand justice. Tell us in the comments, when did you find your own courage? And who do you know that needs to hear this? Your voices can build the next wave of change. Don't miss our next episode where we dive into a whistleblower who risked everything to expose corporate wrongdoing and sparked a nationwide reckoning. Until then, remember, where power thrives in darkness, your light can bring it crashing down.